See the seasoning? This is the topic of the conversation today. It has nothing to do with cooking at all. It has to do with how I ended up here, get you a little bit of understanding as to where my journey was. Oh, this will all be in the second book that, by the way, is not out yet. I'll let you know when it's done. Oh, side note, got my hair did yesterday. Needed to get some of that bulk cut out. And it's summertime here, so I wanted my summer cut. I'm like a sheep, right? You got to shear me in the summer. Yeah, that's kind of what happened. So this is so priceless for me because I actually reached out to my ex-husband yesterday. Just sent him a text message. Years ago, before my son, I was pregnant, but before my son, who's 26 now, was born, we were living like, we were in transition with work and all, it was crazy. And at one point we had a little cabinet in our bedroom that we were renting because I was still pregnant and we hadn't moved out yet. And I was waiting to get checks and, money was tight. It's in the 90s. And we had seasoning. And this was our dinner. Like we would literally, I'll show you what we would do, like legitimately. I messaged him, I said, I'm doing a chapter of this in the book. And he said, I cannot wait to read it. He says, albeit it wasn't like it was every day. I said, true. But it was great because we still have such a good relationship. We can still have a conversation. I love his wife. We went to their wedding, So this is what we would do. Do you see this right here? Do this. I would sit with that. This was our dinner. I am not lying to you. Montreal steak seasoning. This one's actually chicken. I forgot. I have them all. They're not trigger points to me. These guys are my anchors. And from time to time, whenever I need grounding or whenever I get a little worried about something or freaked out, I get the seasoning salt, I put it on my hand and I lick it because I remember that. And it's good because that's something that will always keep me grounded. So I remember I've lived in a van, there's a lot of things, and I've eaten seasoning salt for dinner. It was not fun, but it does taste really good. So I love it. And for me, I never avoid triggers. I always embrace them, and I utilize those triggers as my anchor places. And that's how I ended up going down this path and I said it on my Insta stories that I was 19, 20. That's not true. I was 26 because my son was born. So I was 26 because he was born when I was 25. And I remember going to therapy because I was hella depressed, right? This is yet again another baby. I had a lot of postpartum and everything. And there was a little Filipino therapist, and he was an alternative practitioner. I knew he was a little bit more like no BS, and that really works for me. And that's my approach with my clients, right? And I remember sitting in there, and you talk about victim of circumstances. Now listen, the first couple meetings was more or less him getting to know me, right? Like I was like, I lost my mom, my dad was abusive, my brother said, wah, 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 wah. I needed to do it. We all need to vent it out. We all need to get it out, right? That's fine. He called me on it though. Probably about, 3 or 4 months in, he kind of heard me talk. He was trying to give me tools. And while I would listen to the tools, I'd be like, yeah, I hear you, but the moment you throw a but up, you're automatically going to go back to the victim mentality. And he straight up said, we are not going to see each other anymore. And I said, what? Wait, why? What happened? He said, I can't with your victim of circumstance. And I said, but it's my truth. He said, that was your truth. You are attaching your identity to your sadness, to your trauma, and you are constantly sitting in a place of blame of your past trauma as to not take accountability for your own self now. You're still waiting for somebody to save you when you have that tool. And I've given you some tools and you're not using them. You keep coming back as a victim. It is not productive for you. It is not productive for me. I am no longer seeing you. I literally was like mad at a time because I was like, see, it's yet another person who's leaving. Like I was so angry. I got up, I left because he said, you got to go. It was like mid-session. I was so angry. Like I was yelling. I called my ex-husband. I was like, this guy's a total jerk off. I used other words. I said, I can't. And so, he didn't have any, what's he going to say? He didn't know what to say. And I stewed on that for probably about a good solid month, maybe even a little bit more, just angry, so mad. All I did was bring up more anger to me. And I was like, this guy's a total jerk. till he wasn't. Because I was like, you know, and then it's like I wanted that reassurance from everybody. I wanted them to be like, man, he is a jerk. Why would he treat you that way? Feel sorry for me. It's literally what I wanted. Hard pass. And finally, it was my husband's cousin or whatever and said, okay, I love you. I do. That therapist is right. And I said, what do you mean that therapist is right? You got to stop with the complaining. You are the most negative person. The only reason that I love you so much is that's why I'm around you some, but even I have to distance. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, you can't say that you want to feel better and not do the work. I can't be your sounding board to constantly be in complaint when you're learning and you have the ability to have the tools and you're choosing to not use them. I can't be your sounding board. Like, what the hell is going on? Everybody around me is ghosting. But I sat on it, and I actually reached out to him again, to the office, and you know, the person at the front desk said, I've been instructed not to book any more sessions with you. I said, I'm fully aware of this. I am aware of this. He said, but if you would like, you may send him an email. I'm not patching you through. Boundaries. Something I did not like nor have. Like, okay. So he patched me through, and I'll go deeper into the thought process of how I got there. I don't want to like spoil it in the book. I want you to read it. Duh. And I did this whole thing. I said, I'm really angry. I'm really angry with you. I feel like you abandoned me like everybody else. I did all of that. So I did all the victim thing again. Victim me, poor me, poor me. Then I said, but I really do want to get out of this. And I just don't know how. And I know you're going to tell me you do know how because you're giving me the tools. I would like another chance, right? And he sent me a one sentence that was like, see you at whatever time that was. Let's say 1. I don't think it was 1. I think it was earlier. I was like, oh, okay. So now I felt like, okay. And I walked in and I sat down. I said, hi. You know, I was definitely a lot nicer. And and it was another conversation about the seasoning salt. And this was, I mean, I had already had Bugsy. So now we had food. I was on WIC and, you know, so we were okay. But this is my anchor, to bring it all back to circle. And I remember sitting there talking to him, and I said to him, you know, I'm really mad at you. He said, I know. He said, I'm okay with that. I didn't lose any sleep behind it. And I said, it didn't bother you that I was mad at you? He said, no. Because I know the information that I was giving you was going to help you. And it was going to do one of two things: keep you where you were or bring you back to actually do the work. And then he would call me on my stuff. He'd be like, you're doing the victim thing again. I'd be like, oh God, you're right. He is my mentor. He's such a great dude. He's very Eastern practicing. So very, no nonsense, very much like your girl. Also, you know, help me understand a little bit of the Buddhism stuff. So it's just huge for me. So it's the same thing with my clients. You know, I have several options, right? I have the 45-minute session. I have the 90-minute intensive. I am not going to be for everyone because I'm going to have a very similar approach. If you are living in that victim mentality, I'm probably not your person because I did that. And it took me, right? I did all of the other traditionals, like, okay, let's work through it. Okay. Did all of that. And I just wasn't, it helped me. There was many areas of which it helped, right? And it's not like that was my last time doing regular therapy either. So it was very helpful. But what really helped me was really calling me on my stuff because I was blaming my mom's death. I was blaming my dad's abuse. I was blaming my brother and sister's addiction. I was blaming, and blaming my ex-husband, blaming this, blaming that, blaming society, blaming poor me, blaming the people who had money, blaming, victim. Definitely did not work for me. So as I learned more, he's one of the people who said this would be a great profession for you, but not in a traditional sense, more alternative, more direct, more coaching. And I was like, me? I was like, me? Did you just meet me? You know, this was after we had been together for a few years. He said, stop. He said, you're great. He said, you're a great speaker. You know what you're talking about. I know you're OCD. You're going to go as much education as you could possibly get on humans, which I did, human studies. And it did. And the reason this is a long-winded kind of thing is because some of you out there, right, have your own seasoning salt. There's something out there that's your seasoning salt. Don't run from it. Embrace it. Hold it. Remind yourself. I don't care if I had all the money in the world right now. This is my reminder. that this is where it started. You got to love the journey. Don't just love the reward. But yeah, I mean, in my 90-day intensive, we're getting into it. We're going to do some shadow work and all that stuff. Hard pass on you thinking that I'm going to coddle you through it. I'm not. And so not everybody is going to like that. And I'm okay with it. But that's the story on the seasoning salt. So find your one, and this isn't my only low point, right? This is not the only time I had something to do with season, so, but this is my thing. So I will always keep this in the house, both for steak and chicken. I always just put on vegetables too, because it's a reminder to me. This means a lot to me. So it might look like seasoning to you, but to me, it was the foundation of my growth. And I needed my lovely doctor friend, who is still an amazing mentor, to get in my butt and say, live as a victim if you want. I can't with you. And I thought, he really allowed me to take ownership of my own stuff. When I stopped blaming everybody else on the planet for my situation, then I was able to find the solution. And I'm still finding solutions for things. And I will for the rest of my natural born life. So if you're in that mentality and you're feeling victim-y and you're feeling blamey and you're feeling angry and all that stuff, you could always book a session with me. You know how to get me. I mean, there's always the description to the podcast, that too, to the website, in the YouTube and everywhere else that I am, But if you are not ready to really deal with it, I'm not your person, right? So, but regardless of the fact, find whatever your low point is and don't be a victim to it. Pull power from it, baby. Let it season up your life.